You're joining the Doctor Business Podcast with Dr. Hollen Meyer, where we talk business sprinkled with a bit of Jesus. Our goal is to help you simplify business, impact more lives, and increase your profitability. By sharing the stories of influential doctors from various specialties, we help you get creative in connecting with your target market, increasing your exposure in the community, and collaborating with local providers so you can reach more people and avoid burnout. Thanks for tuning in, and we're excited to help you navigate success in your doctor business. And now your host, Dr. Hollen Meyer.
All right, here we go. Thanks for joining us for another episode on the podcast. I'm Dr. Hollen Meyer, along with my guest, Dr. Prak Bhakta, and he is actually, I went to school with him, so I know him for many, many years, and he received his Doctor of Chiropractic from Parker University after graduating from Texas Tech University with Exercise and Sports Science degree. Now, he is quite savvy in business, and he's seen a lot of variations of practice. He opened his own multidisciplinary practice. It's an MD, DC, PT, DPM model, and he's been part of a Chiro-only model as well. He's practiced for about 11 years. 2 years, he was introduced to the Curis Functional Health model, and he now practices part-time, and he helps develop that model with other chiropractors. And he also owns and manages 2 other medical practices. One is an urgent care family practice, and he has also operated a med spa regenerative practice and even a large baseball facility. So when it comes to business, he knows a thing or two. Prak, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Now, how did you create and develop your vision and the style of practice from whenever you first got started and kind of an accelerated version to what you're doing now?
So even back before I was going to chiropractic school, I had a vision of starting a multidisciplinary practice because I started to work with a chiropractor that worked with other disciplines, but not in the practice. He worked with orthopedic surgeons, he worked with pain management, he worked with family physicians. And I saw that, okay, well, why can't we have all these together to kind of make it a one-stop shop for patients? So I don't have to go and refer one patient there or there or there. And we have the ability to co-manage those patients, very effectively, right, and get them better. So that was my vision before even going to chiropractic school.
Perfect. So a lot of this was a business decision for you. And then fast forwarding today under the Curis Functional Health model, now that's a profit sharing model. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that operates, how that works? Because so many doctors that are listening in have no idea what we're even talking about.
Yeah, so when Curis was first introduced to me, I met a gentleman by the name of Andre Angel. Now he's no, when you call me a businessman, he is like probably one of the top businessmen in the world. So and we started to talk about different types of practice and what he was trying to create, and I saw that, and 2 years ago. Probably even a little bit before that, before I met him, I wanted to do something that what my practice would be worth 5, 10, 15 years from now. Mm-hmm. And it would be worth the same as it is 2 years ago to 15 years ago, which I didn't like that because I put in so much time into and effort into it to build the practice, and my value didn't change. So when we started to talk about this model, where we're bringing in chiropractors, mental health practitioners, and including nutrition into it, that generated, interest because I saw patients that needed mental health, they needed nutrition, and to have a place like that in a multidisciplinary model, we have different providers that we can again treat the patient better. And when we do that, and the model that was created, and I saw it where, okay, that brings value to the practice. And we wanted to do that. And, his goal is to go ahead and brand it, which I know branding is big. Mm-hmm. So branding created that value that I was looking for 10, 15, 5, whatever years from now, that when we brand something, it's worth multiples of what our clinic is worth.
Right.
So the model actually consists of, let's just go from the beginning, mental health, chiropractic, and nutrition. Every clinic that we bring on, the base formation is chiropractic. Then we add the other disciplines into it. If the chiropractor is practicing nutrition, wonderful. I think we make the best nutrition, docs, and finding nutritionists is very tough. So with what we have with our education and what we learned, we make pretty good nutritionists. So having these three disciplines, we grow that practice, utilize all the assets that we had. Like I practice here like 3 times a week, if that. Maybe like total of, if you count up the hours, maybe 2 days a week. The rest of the time, the clinic is, being seen by my doc, my associates, my mental health practitioners. They're having different meetings and different sessions. So the office is being utilized from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, and even on Saturdays if the mental health practitioners want to see it. So if I'm paying rent on the facility for $6,000 a month, well, if you look at how much you're utilizing of that, it's very minimal. It's like half the time you're utilizing. So we decided to come up with a model to generate and increase that value of the practice. And when we create that increased value of the practice, that bottom line increases. So all that profit that's generated, when we add 10 clinics, 20 clinics, 30 clinics, that revenue goes up. And everybody that comes into the Curis model are partners. We all become partners. Along with what we're making on what we're generating, we also take home profit sharing. So as the business gets profitable, we all get, distributions from the profits that we generated. And over time, as we generate, 50 to 100 to 150 clinics, we are able to sell that on the market at a multiple of anywhere from 10 to 20 times our profit that we're taking home. We still get to practice. We still get to make money that we're making. Actually, we get to make more money that we're making because we're able to pay the doctors a little more. So we're able to give them more percentage that they're taking home. Their life is more, much better because they get to take vacations. They have staff here that's going to support them. They have associate doctors that's going to support them. So it's all with lifestyle, with, future, if you want to retire 10 years, 15 years, it's a better option. And that's what I saw. And I've seen this model in, not this model exactly, but a similar type of model in the medical profession. And I've been approached by that with my medical clinic, but we don't get to be partners in it. We just get to become the employees again. Right. We don't want that. We created this baby. We want to be part of it. We want to still feed it and grow it and invest our time into it so we can become, a lot more stable.
Right. I love what attracted me to this model, aside from Andre himself, is the value that it brings to the patients, right? So they get a more full, well-rounded healthcare approach. Because I know even in my practice, we had a functional medicine practice that was based on chiropractic, but there was that psychology piece that was missing, right? And so they have really, really, really maximized their genius at creating this model for the patients. And I just love that. But then when I started learning more about the business, which you just explained to us even more, I love the fact that it does increase the value for the practice, because I sold my practice and it, like you said, it wasn't worth any more on year 11 than it was on year 8. And so the value ladder is beautiful. And then also on a monthly basis, what we're seeing with the profit sharing model is doctors are making more on a monthly basis because you have somebody who knows business that's running the business, number one. And instead of being the big fish in a really, really tiny pond, you are part of a much bigger picture. And so from consolidating resources to maximizing, like the example you gave, maximizing the time spent in the office being utilized, whether from you or from the other healthcare practitioners, that office is pumping out a whole lot more volume just from sheer resources. And so we're able to maximize what the practice is actually producing and profiting and the bottom line from that. So doctors are actually, and I want you to confirm this, doctors are making more typically than what they would have on their own with the same volume being seen.
Yes, that's true. Because the way, people ask, like, how can you do that? I mean, I have my costs and my costs. I'm like, well, we're centralizing everything. We're centralizing the marketing. With online marketing, we have a great team that handles all that. We have the field marketing side of it. So we're centralizing everything. Each doctor is spending, thousands of dollars in marketing, thousands of dollars in resources, HR, all of it, and all that gets centralized, and that's profit that we can, that we generate from. So if we take 5 clinics, or let's just say, I'll give you an example in an area that we're looking at, there's 3 doctors there that want to join. They're happy to join and be in one office. So we get a larger office. We get about a 3,500 to 4,500 square foot office. We put them all in one office, and all they want to do is practice. They can practice however they want to. And, and I help them with that growth factor. I'm like, hey, doc, you're missing these things. Let's think about doing these because we can generate more revenue with it. So, and treat the patient better. And so that is big consolidation, because if you have three releases and you have all the overhead of the 3 offices, now you have 1.
Right.
So that's how it's done.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we are totally going off script here. I love it. So now I'm going to go even further off script because I'm going to air this here pretty soon. In these crazy, hysteric times, okay, what are some of the benefits of being a partner of Curis as opposed to kind of being on your own island?
Right. So let's say, is a chiropractic office. Let's say if let's hope this doesn't happen, we stop seeing our patients, right? Well, mental health, and then our board actually put out an email stating that we could do telehealth, right? But we can do not very much with telehealth because we work with our hands.
Exactly.
Right? So, but our mental health practitioners still can generate the revenue because they can do telehealth.
Right.
We can have nutrition stuff. We can have that's the biggest piece that's going to be in this time. Telehealth is going to be huge. So we have the ability to still reach out to the patient. So some of our patients that may be chiropractic patients and we may want to talk to our mental health practitioners, we have them, they have access to them. So, which is big. Now, if you're an independent practice that doesn't have that ability, that's tough. You're stopped because you have to still pay your employees, or if you decide to, I don't know what the scenario would be in a like I do know a scenario in my medical practice, which is different because we have to stay open. We still see patients, but we can have Skype visits and we can triage them into their car. And there's different things that we can do to still see those patients. But in chiropractic, we can't. Mm-hmm. So in this business model, we can still continue to see those patients.
Right. And with this, you're not an employee, you're a partner. So you still benefit. And with the profit sharing, it is based on volume that the doctor sees. But even if they're not seeing volume, they still have something, correct? Because they have shares in the company.
Correct. So the first, I believe, undergraduate, where it's like first, I think till 2022, that the clinics that we bring on to our model, they're able to still participate in the profit sharing side of it. So let's just say Dr. A makes $100,000. He generates $100,000 one year, or that year, and then the Dr. B makes $200,000. Where Dr. A gets his shares, but Dr. B, since he's created twice as much as revenue, he gets twice as much as shares and profit sharing units. So you can grow with the company, and you can build more equity as you grow. And that's what's the motivating factor.
On a monthly basis in this business model, from what I've seen, on a monthly basis, the doctors are making more, but in the meantime, when they sell their shares, it's exponentially growing as opposed to their practice does not have that exponential growth.
Right.
So finances is one thing. That's kind of a no-brainer. That's an obvious thing with this business model and really what makes it beautiful. But the ideal client that you're looking for is really looking to make an impact and to see growth and really have a legacy.
We have great docs that are coming on board here very soon. I mean, awesome docs.
Yeah.
And they've done so well. They're very successful at what they do, but they still want to join because they realize what I realized 2 years ago. And they're seeing their volume is greater than mine. They're taking home more than me, but they see what with that vision. They're like, this is a better model for us because our exit strategies is beautiful.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And even in this time, like if you're not seeing patients or because of legislative have made you shut down or patients are just scared to come in, like the value of your practice is literally going down as we speak. And I love that this business model actually adds security to your future and your present in these times as well. What are some of the benefits as well, just from not considering these crazy times right now, but what are some additional benefits as well, as far as the doctor's stress level? What are they focused on when they show up for practice every day versus if it was their own practice? What are they?
The doctors focus on the patients. That's the thing. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to focus on the patients. We want to be able to have our mindset, and we want to be there for. And that positive attitude that you come in, that you're going to work on this patient, you're going to make them feel better, you're going to heal them, and the stressors are gone. Where the handling the employees, handling the marketing, handling all the operational stuff, that's a big stressor on all the all chiropractors. I mean, I don't care how successful you are, you have a lot of stress because of that one component. So when that is taken away from you, your body's much better. You're able to feel better.
Right. And so I can visibly see some doctors saying, yes, that's amazing. But I can also visibly see some doctors saying, wait a minute, what do you mean taken away from me? What do you mean like I have no control? What do you mean like how do I protect my people?
Right. So when we say it's taken away, we're centralizing all this. Just because you're coming in as a doctor, it doesn't mean that you have no say so in anything. Yeah. Remember, you're a partner. So if in your clinic is your clinic, you're still able to communicate how you need to with your employees. You create the protocols that you want to, the way you see your patients, and we're not changing the flow of that. Now, if we see something that, hey, this needs to think about this, doc. If this makes it efficient, wouldn't you want to change it? And then we work with them. It's not about here's what we're going to do and this is the way it is. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to disrupt any flow of the practice that's going on. They still have control.
So just to confirm for the listeners, because I'm trying to think of as a listener, even though I know this, I know Curis, I love it, which is why I really wanted you on. But so from their mindset, they're like, okay, so you're saying the flow doesn't change. I still communicate like we communicate. We still have our callbacks done at X, Y, and Z time frame. We still run the practice, so to speak, because we're partners in the practice, not employees. You don't come in and cookie cutter my practice. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. We don't want to cookie cutter the practices anywhere because we understand what you created. We just want to tweak it to make it even better.
From a business perspective.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of it.
So if I'm a pediatric person and then the other guy is a sports person, we don't have to basically become a family practice so that we're all similar. We get to have that uniqueness still remain.
Right. I'll give you an example. In my own clinic, I have Dr. J here that if I'm working on a patient, I do a lot of manual therapy. I do a lot of active release. And if I see that the patient needs a little more, they need either acupuncture or dry needling, I don't do it. So I refer that patient over to him so he could better manage the patient and they can see the patient. So we work as a team and not just my individual practice in each. If you have 3 doctors here, we don't have just like, here's what I see, here's what I see, here's what I see, and that's mine. No, we work as a team to, that's the best approach, and that's where we want to grow.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I love it. How long has Curis been partnering with chiropractors?
So I went in head first because I loved it. I
That
think
is
that was
actually surprising to me, but also kind of securing at the same time because you're such a business dude and you're quite skeptical as well, from what I recall from school.
yeah. See, I'm pretty critical. Like the way I thought about, when I heard this model and the risk involved in it, was basically very minimal risk involved into joining this. There's always a fear. Let's just say there was always a fear. I thought about it. There was always a fear of, like, what if it goes under? Like, what if it goes under? Like, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, if it goes under, but my mind still is there. I created something prior to Curis. I can still function the way that I've done before. So really, what change? What changes? Nothing. So, in the I mean, I was the earliest one. We've been working to get other docs into Curis for the last about a year or so. But we take our time to doing our due diligence. We don't just say, "Oh, you want to come on board? Let's go ahead and sign the papers." No, we will work with we work with the doctors. We make sure we have a good relationship with the doctors. We want to make sure that we can have dinners together and communicate and be on that level of that we can. They're not just work and go home type of doc. We want to make sure that they have good energy, so it takes a little time to get those on board. It's a work in progress. And obviously the model that we work as a team. So if there's something that is going on, we want communication. Biggest thing is communication. The second biggest thing is transparency. Our doctors get full transparency of everything that they're producing.
That's awesome.
We're not a clinic that's going to restrict what the billing looks like. We want to help you how the billing needs to be. It needs to be, how we can increase the reimbursement rates, how if we're missing something, we need to fix that. So we want to make sure that, and the doctors are able to see what they're billing, what they're collecting, and what they're getting paid based on their billing and in their collection. And they can run a report. They can run a report on me and what I'm doing, what my associates are doing, what the mental health practitioners are generating, because they're partners. They get to see the full picture of what's going on in the practice.
I love
that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, also, I love the transparency, and I love that the doctors, I love that Curis is setting up a model where the patients win, but also the doctor wins and typically makes more money on the same volume, but is looking to grow the volume, grow the company. And it ends up being a win-win-win across the board.
Yeah. And I think that's crazy you say that, because Andre's created other companies that are like that. Win-win-win. And in all the companies that he's created, he's made everybody in that company that worked for it, that worked with him, all partners.
Yeah.
And when they exited those companies, they're all happy.
Right. And that is quite amazing. And to say a few words about Andre, he is so humble. You would never know all of what he's done just by talking to him, unless you really dig, like really, really dig.
I'm still finding out new stuff every time I'm with him. I'm with him at least 4 or 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. And I'm still like, it just amazes me. Now we're just like brothers now. It's just like.
Yeah. He's become a special mentor for us both, I think.
Right.
So I'm going to jump back over to the script here, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
And we're going to jump onto the fire rapid round. Are you ready for this?
Okay, I guess.
All right. So it's going to be simple. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then you'll give us some quick, short answers, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So in hindsight, being in business for quite some time, what do you think should be the 2 top areas of focus for a practice or a business?
Patient, I think, is big, and your reputation in the community.
That's great.
I think those are the 2 biggest things. The reputation, I tell you, the reputation is massive in the community that you're practicing in. Perfect. I think that's the 2 biggest things.
That's awesome. What is the best advice that you have ever received?
I'll tell you from my wife. Work smart. Work smart, not hard.
That's good.
And I'm still trying to get to that though. It's a work in progress,
Always.
But work smart, not hard. I mean, that's the thing. That's kind of what we're headed towards.
Cool. All right. Next question. What is one thing that you see consistently in every successful business owner?
It's taking care of their staff and their employees, and not being the overbearing boss. That's I think a big success. You are working as a team. I tell my staff, I said, look, you guys are partners. Even before I joined Curis, I told them, I said, you guys are partners. Whatever I generate, that percentage of that revenue goes to you guys. You make a certain percentage of the revenue, you make a certain percent. That's a percentage of my business that's going directly to you guys before it even hits me. So I have to treat them as partners, even though if they're W-2, whatever, you're giving them that money and out of your top line. So it's the staff.
I think that's huge, to give them a sense of ownership in the business, and it allows them to be just to produce in a more valuable way too.
They value your clinic as their own.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Last question. What is one of the best resources that you've utilized in business that you'd recommend for other people?
Your peers, your network. Building your network is huge, because you can learn so many things because somebody's done it before. You can talk to them, you can communicate with them. It's like, hey, how do you do this? It's able to, anytime I get a call from a doc or something like that, I give them advice. I said, look, I have nothing to gain from you. I'll give you what I think about it. It's the network that you create and the knowledge you get from all these people that have done it. Either they've been successful at it or they've failed at it. They give you that knowledge, and that knowledge is huge. And that's what I've developed over, before even in chiropractic school. I learned a ton of stuff, not just from books. It's from people. It's going out to, every morning I meet with a group of guys that are highly successful people, and they're not even in my industry. And I just having a communication with them and networking with those guys.
I love that. It goes with the theme of this podcast of get off your island,
Yes.
And also to bridge the gap in healthcare, whatever that might mean. There's different variations of that. Well, Prak, I know there's some folks listening in to say, I want to know a little bit more about this. This has kind of piqued my interest. How can people get a hold of you?
So they can call me, or they can reach out to my email address.
Okay.
pbhakta@gocuris.com, and send me an email.
Perfect. And I'll be sure to include that email address in the show notes as well for you. And thank you so much for your time and all of your knowledge. Thanks.
You're awesome. Appreciate it.
And to our listeners, thank y'all for listening in. I'm going to encourage you to go back and listen to this again, because it's probably the first time or maybe the second time you've heard about this business model. Take some notes and reach out to Prak or myself. And thank you so much for joining us. Share this episode with a colleague and stay classy, folks.